Inside every person you know, there is a person you don't know.
I want you to know me, but I don't. In fact, who really knows you well and have you let them? Gen Z isn't the first generation to use irony in their humor, but we have taken it to a whole different level with meta-irony memes and TikToks. We're always joking, but we're also always serious. This type of online humor bleeds into our everyday lives and everything becomes an inside joke. But who's in on the joke? And do we even know how to slow down and be sincere when it matters? When we're joking but being serious, are we actually revealing a deeper yearning to be understood on a complex and layered level? This week, we're exploring the idea of being known by your friends and family, significant other, coworkers, etc. And why does Gen Z have such a hard time being serious, let alone vulnerable?
Bitch, what I was trying to say is this situation got me so wet and so dry at the same time. Exactly.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I am one of your hosts, Autumn, like the season. I definitely have a crying kink, and I work in entertainment.
And I'm your other host, Fiji, like the island, like the water. I am suppressing a multitude of mini crash outs every single day, and I work in social media and marketing. So I've been thinking about the concept for this episode for a while lately, but I came across this article from the New Yorker called Does Anyone Really Know You? By Joshua Rothman, and it's a really, really good article. So Joshua writes, does anybody really know you? It's a question that arises at odd moments, sometimes perversely when we're surrounded by people who know us well. Suddenly we become conscious of an inner sanctum they've never breached. He goes on to say, at a recent dinner, the group of people I was with performed a survey. About half of us felt there was somebody who really knew us. Quote, I picture a Venn diagram, a man said. One circle contained all there was to know about him. The other was what someone else really knew. The more the circles overlapped, the more he was really known. Is that how being known by other people works? Possibly. It stands to reason that the people who really know us know a lot about us. On the other hand, it's possible for someone to know a lot about you without really knowing you. Their knowledge might not cross a certain threshold. And then he talks about like your parents and your family, for example, like they feel like they really knew you because, you know, they gave birth to you, you were brought up around them, like all of those things, but then you may go on to have your own life and their perception of you is different than who you have become today. So we asked you guys, who knows you the best? And it's not your family. Only 6% said my family, 39% said my best friends, 33% said my partner, and 22% was kind of emo and said no one really knows me for real.
I thought about that one. I'm not going to lie. I almost put it. But then I was like, if that's true, then we have like a really big problem. And I was like, no, that can't be true. That cannot.
I mean, no one knows, like, it's like philosophically, like no one really knows like the
you
full
know.
you, like you inner, like your deepest secrets, like your thoughts by yourself.
Yeah. But I think,
like people know you well.
And I think people can get really close, and I definitely voted for my best friends. I feel like that's always been consistent. It's the ugly parts that you're scared to let everyone know about you, and even like your partner sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this too, and it's like, you can show someone who you are, but if they pay attention or not is on them. Like, I feel like sometimes we like really want to show ourselves like through actions, and if someone's paying attention, like they're gonna see habits in you and patterns and things like that. But it's like, even if you're so open to be known, if that person like isn't there and doesn't care to actually get to know you, they're never, you know, so it's not,
they're not gonna accept it. And it's
Right.
like, sometimes it's like people show you who they are, people tell you who they are, like,
And
you know,
you're
like we
like-
think about that in like situationships, like relationships. It's like someone can tell you, but unless you're willing to like receive the information, then it's like you're
like it never
you're
happens.
always, projecting your own like idea onto someone. We all are, like, constantly.
Right. I feel like with your family, like I feel like that's kind of like a pressure I've felt, that it's like, because it is very much like that. Like, oh, I raised you and like I gave birth to you. And it does like make me think of my dad, because he does not know me at all. I don't think my mom fully knows me either. She doesn't.
No.
I have so many secrets.
She doesn't know about this.
Right. So it's, yeah, exactly. But it's just like that kind of like I feel like that makes me stubborn in a way where I'm like, they feel like they know me so well. So it's like, I want to have some things just for myself too. That it's like, I want them to know who I am. But at the same time, like the stubborn part of me is like, okay, like you think you got it all figured out. I'm just going to let you have that dream-like version of me that you want me to be. Because the truth is, like, there's a lot of things I've done. Yeah, like they wouldn't be proud of, and like they wouldn't understand, like generationally. I just don't think it would click at all. So I'd rather them just like live like that. But what does that do to us inside? Because it does hurt. It does hurt a little bit.
It adds shame too.
It adds shame. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I feel that too. Like just in the different areas of my life, like I try to keep like my corporate identity like so separate from like what I am on the podcast and my regular life. And I like the separation that I have between even like names and stuff like that, because it gives like space for the other part of my identity to breathe. Like I can be like the girl boss corporate, like have my shit together, present that way at work, and then also be like a messier bitch in front of like this audience or like my friends or like on TikTok or like whatever. And like both of those versions of myself are true, but like they wouldn't exist without the other one too. So like sometimes it just feels better. Like sometimes I'm like, no, I want to be my full self to everybody. But then it's also like protecting yourself from what the other person is going to put onto you.
Right.
You
and
know?
It's crazy because like as your best friend, like throughout the years and everything, like the duality within us and how we've like told ourselves that it's okay is like one of my favorite things about you. And is why like one of the many reasons like I see you as like very powerful. But it's like, I get it because I'm the same way. And for me, I'm like, it's a problem. So like, I completely understand.
But it is a problem. I feel like it's a problem too. I feel like, because I've had this conversation with my therapist so many times, like in the whole people please. I forget what episode.
That's what I was just
the people pleasing thing where you like are pretending to be a different version of yourself that you think the other person will be more comfortable with, but in that sense, you're not even like challenging them or like doing them like a
and
real.
You're not giving them the opportunity to really get to know you, which is a disservice to them, but also extremely to you, because you don't want to get to know a friend or get to know a potential partner, and it's like they think you're like someone that you're not, because then newsflash, they don't really like you if they don't really know you, you know?
Yeah.
And I think like having this shame that we have like about our past and just about like who we are, like a little bit sometimes, it's like when I do show someone who I really am and it's receptive and they receive it well, it's literally like the best feeling in the fucking world, you know?
Yes.
Like it's healing in that way.
Because I'm thinking about like, I had told one of my coworkers is like around the same age as me, and we're like good friends at like work and stuff, but she didn't like, she kept wanting to hang out, but like I didn't want to hang out because I didn't want her to know about my other like identity. I was like, what if we go to a coffee shop in EAV and someone calls me Fiji and then she's gonna be like, what the fuck? Because like I didn't want her to know that I have this like podcast that I used to be a stripper, and then I eventually like, I forget how it came up, but I told her, and it felt like a relief because she was like really cool about it. Like there were certain things she was like, oh my God, like I would have never like thought that, like I had no idea that you had this like double life, like whatever. But like in some ways it wasn't like hurtful, but it like mirrors back to you your own insecurities, because you almost like, you know, the question someone's gonna ask, and you know the way that their perception of you might be altered or changed, because like also I've been lying to you this whole time about who I am, or I've been like keeping it at a distance.
Yeah, it's not lying, right?
It's not lying, but it's just like keeping it whatever. And then it's like the same thing as like anyone when they find out we used to strip or whatever. It's the common questions, and it's like da 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 da.
And you know,
but it's fine.
Do you think like if we have never been strippers, or we didn't talk about our experience as stripping on this podcast, that it would be the same? I think it would be, just the way that I've talked about how I love to be degraded and like very like sexual, but I do think it's the stripper, bro, because we talk about, it could be any episode. But
it's not just the stripping, it's also like our sexuality.
Just openly talking about that on the internet.
It's both. I mean, the stripping adds, I think an extra layer of like, oh my God, is my job security okay? But like even just talking about sex in the way that we do online is also so like, it puts it in the same category.
Right. And then the last thing I'll say, like it does really connect to people pleasing for me too, and like it's been like, there's been like scary moments for me, like when people ask me like serious questions and I like, in my brain is like split. I know the people pleasing answer and then I know the real answer.
Yes.
And I just like freeze in time and then I'm like, I don't even really know myself because I constantly people please and I'm scared and like, I don't know what the truth is. And it's really like, it's hard, but it does happen like the most like with people that are close to me and then like strangers too. Actually, no, it's with everyone.
It's with everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah, because we're constantly trying to like be chameleons and mold to our environment to be accepted.
And I feel like
not
women
have the spotlight.
Do that. And there's like a layer of just like that as well. But yeah, the people
because we're socialized to not be distracting. I mean, how much do you hear that in school? Like your shoulders are fucking distracting.
Right.
Like, I feel like anything about like being a woman, it's just like be quiet, like be
and it
chill.
links like people pleasing links to being known and that idea, because if you're constantly people pleasing, like people might not really know you. And I don't think that's a place any of us really want to be in, especially what we know about the human nature and how connection is what feeds our souls the most. Like, no matter what, if it's sexual, platonic, whatever, like we need that, especially right now. So it's scary to feel like you're not known because you're constantly just trying to like accommodate. And yeah, it's really just like presenting yourself as a version that you think the other person won't fear and like will accept.
That's digestible.
That's digestible for them. Yeah. But it's such a disservice to yourself. And if that person actually cares enough to really want to get to know the real you, it's like, you shouldn't do that to them. That's not fair. Like they're willing to hear the hard stuff, but you're just like, I can't do that. And it's okay. Like we'll all get to a point. But yeah, love that article, babe.
Yeah, and then we asked you guys, and we kind of already talked about it a little bit, but do you yearn to be fully known and better understood by the people in your life? And 88% of you guys said yes, and 12% said no. And like I said, for me, it's like half and half. Like sometimes I do. Sometimes I am totally cool with like you projecting whatever you want onto me in that moment because I don't care about the depth of this relationship. And that might be a problem too because like, I don't know.
I think that's okay sometimes though, because every relationship is different. Like sometimes you're like, okay, maybe it's like healing for me right now if you don't really know me, as long as we're on the same page that this isn't going anywhere. I don't think that's a big deal, like at all. But I feel like, I definitely yearn to be fully known, but I think it really scares me. And I also do like to keep some things for myself. And I think that's okay. Like, we don't have to tell everybody everything, you know?
Right.
Like, it's okay to keep some things for yourself. Like, even some, like, spiritual things I've done with my pendulum, I'm almost like, I don't want to tell people because, like, it was real and I don't want any, you know, like, it's okay
you don't want people,
to keep things to yourself. But I do think, like, some of my traumatic, like, sexual history, like, it would be healing for me to really let people in on that. That's maybe not something you should keep to yourself. The pendulum swinging, fine, you know?
And that's a whole thing, like, people being like, oh, like, you don't overshare, keep things to yourself, da-da-da. But sometimes it's things that, like, if we actually spoke out loud, it would bring us closer as, like, a community, or, like, people with shared, like, bad experiences and, like, fighting fucking capitalism or patriarchy or, like, whatever. Like, you know, like, back when people were, like, the Me Too movement and stuff, like, sharing stuff, oversharing was actually revolutionary.
A revolution, yeah, exactly.
You know, so, like, a lot of times when people are like, oh, don't overshare, I'm kind of like, like,
no, I know. I love to overshare. And I think it's fine to regret certain times that you do overshare, especially when it's on the internet and anyone can watch it.
Yeah.
Like this podcast. But I think, like, if you're regretting, like, an overshare moment with, like, one other person, then it's like, maybe it's just they aren't worthy of that overshare, not like you did anything wrong, though. Because if you regret that overshare, it's like they didn't make you feel good about yourself, and you're like, okay, and what even is overshare? Like, it's just a share, period. Yeah.
Yeah, to some people, it's like, oh, I'm on my period, and they're like, oh my God, like, you shouldn't say that. Like, to everybody, it's different. And we talk about that in the trauma dumping episode, too. We talk about oversharing more.
Yeah, check that out, guys.
Yeah, but we have 2 listener stories. Someone said, I feel like when I was younger, I try to explain myself a lot, but really that's kind of a self-soothing thing. Over-explaining has the biggest impact on your own anxiety. It doesn't matter as much to others.
Ooh.
And I feel like this is so true. Like, oh my God, the number of relationships that I've been in where it's like, they're not getting me and like, I'm over-explaining myself and I'm trying to like teach them about patriarchy and I'm like, no, you're being misogynistic and like, da-da-da-da. It's like, I'm not fighting any revolution in this relationship. Like, I just need to let it go. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be better on the podcast where people want to hear me talk about patriarchy and unlearning shit, but you can't make someone like relearn who you are if they don't want to like hear it.
Right. You just shouldn't be with them. Right. It's not worth it. And it's like hurting you inside too. And I also think just like simply put, like over explaining, like it can help your anxiety too, because like once you get everything out, you're like, okay, this is actually simple. And then like in the example you just shared, by over explaining and you're like making it so simple, like this is how it is, and they're still not getting it, you're like, okay, actually there's nothing I can do. Like, right.
Let me just leave it. But usually it would make me more anxious because I'm like, no, I just need to explain it better. Like, bitch, leave it alone.
Leave it alone. For
like
real.
you said, some people just don't want to get you. And the next one is similar. Someone said, all my life, people swear they know me better than anyone. And then as soon as I do something on brand as fuck, they act surprised. Like, girl, I thought you knew me.
So real. So fucking
real.
Like,
this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, to, like, high school friends and stuff, and, like, they swear they know, but that's on me because I was presenting this version that was digestible for them, like you said, and maybe this person wasn't doing that, but I feel like people do like to claim ownership in you that way, like best friend, like, I know you better than anyone, like, no one ever could take that, like, da-da-da-da, but it's like, damn, you know, and
like
maybe
you
they
don't,
do, but yeah,
you don't. Like, I'm thinking about a friend that I had fallen out with like relatively recently, and like a part of my whole brand, the podcast, is like sex positive, being a slut, like being a bop, like and like owning that shit, like being flirty. Yeah. And like when we got into a fight and like our friendship ended, she was like, "You're such a slut," like you're such, and I'm like, I know you're meaning to hurt my feelings, but it's also like, if you really knew me, like you claim to, our whole friendship, then you know that wouldn't really like insult me, because it's like, you should have like known, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're just proving to me that you're not on the same level of like how I see the world and how I want to move about this world and like whatever. And also like, you low-key hated me our entire friendship. So like,
yeah,
you know?
Dude, that is honestly such a good example. And you're like, little do you know, I actually have 2-hour episodes breaking down the word slut, and like, that's literally like, you look dumb. Like, I don't know.
Like, you're trying to offend me, but it's not working because you never really knew me. But
which is like heartbreaking. Like, that hurts. You know what I mean?
It hurts,
especially
but it's
when you
also
try to show someone, like, you really try, and like, you let people in, like your friends. You're like, listen to the podcast. Like, this is like who I am, type shit. You know, and it's like, I feel that too. Like, a lot of my friends like definitely don't listen, but I feel like they're probably scared of like the real us, because I don't know. Yeah.
Or they want to be, like, I've realized, like, throughout life, like, certain friends just want to be your friend for aesthetic purposes, or because they want to party with you, or they want to be, like, in proximity to you and the people you're friends with.
Atlanta,
you know, like, they
culture.
don't want to know you. Yeah, exactly. They don't want to have, like me and you have, like, a very deep friendship where we talk about, like, the complexities of life and relationships and, like, how things make us feel. But, like, some friends, it's just, like, it's not really like that. They're, like, role-playing that, and they really just want to, like, be in proximity to you.
And that's just because, like, that's what I was saying at the beginning. It's, like, they're not ready to really know someone. Like, they might not even know how to do that, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, the emotion, like, you have to have a lot of emotional intelligence to be like ready and open to like get to know someone like for the real them, because like people are so flawed, you know? And I definitely look at people like they're on a pedestal, like you, like my partners I've had, like so many people, and it's like, no, dude, like you, but yeah.
Next, we're going to get into the ethics and mummification of your lore. So we're going to start with this TikTok from Ava Louise.
My lore, part 1. I'm going to share with you all of my secrets and pray I don't get sued for doing so. This story starts with me getting finger diddled in a high school stairwell. and ends with me showing Elon Musk my... In between those events, Diddy threatens to sue me. Someone from the Jersey Shore gets me pregnant. Black China holds me against my will. And I date Addison Rae's father. Well, there's a lot more, but we're gonna get into it. I grew up in an upper middle class, lower upper class family.
So that was Ava Louise, and she did a X amount story series of her lore on TikTok.
Classic.
And she's talking about all this crazy shit that happens. And if you guys don't know who Ava Louise is, she had gone viral for like licking a toilet seat. She like does OnlyFans. She also like questionably was like a Trump supporter at a certain point. Like she's a very controversial person, but as she goes through her lore and everything that's happened to her, she was like almost sex trafficked. She was sexually assaulted. Like she had a plastic surgery go really wrong, and she like explains the bad effects of it. And she explains like her terrible family life and how hard she was trying to just like love herself and like all of these things. Like I watched the whole series, and all of that can be named as her lore. It's her backstory. It's what made her her. And lore is a very like meme TikTok term that has been going around. So we're going to define that. So this article says Gen Z is rebranding dramatic story times into lore. For Gen Z, lore describes the stories or details that really define someone's identity, and sharing it has become their favorite way to talk about these parts of their lives, from personal struggles to secondhand gossip. But not just with their close friends. Now they post lore drops on their TikTok, and influencers and creators use these personal stories to connect with their audience. Many are sharing family lore like their parents' untold and maybe traumatic experiences, fashion lore showing their embarrassing Y2K fashion mistakes, or even crazy ex-boyfriend lore, and sharing their breakup stories. As the term grows in popularity, we can add this to the list of Gen Z rebrands, which makes everyday habits more interesting. And the brands are surely jumping onto as well. So of course it's become like a marketing thing as well.
Of course. And it's interesting too, because in the last episode, in Bop,
yes,
the Bop episode, it's like lore is not like an excuse for someone's behavior, like being a Trump supporter, like she might be whatever, but it's reasoning behind things. And rather than like criticize and throw a bunch of misogyny at people's lore, we here on the podcast, which people could think more critically about someone's lore and like that's how they are today, etc.
Yes, and the next article talks about that a little bit more, and it reminds me of the main character episode that we talked about, how like everyone is like becoming this character on this journey in this storyline in their own life.
The TV series of our lives, yes.
Exactly. So this article says, on TikTok and across the internet, the word lore is used as a synonym for background or contextual information about a person, but also an object or imaginary universe, or any past story that has influenced or shaped it. In the era of online sharing and storytelling, everyone and everything has a bit of lore. Of course, as the term is used humorously, it often refers to stories that are eccentric, obscure, and seemingly random. A strange childhood memory, an odd family story, an unusual hobby, or a little known fact about someone's past can all be considered part of their lore. Yet lore did not originate as a TikTok trend. Its roots lie deep in the English language and narrative tradition. The word lore derives from Old English lar, meaning tradition, learning, what is taught, knowledge, or doctrine. Its origins trace back to Proto-Germanic languages and share the same root as the English verb to learn, denoting the knowledge passed down from one generation to the next within human communities, large or small. In medieval and modern English, lore referred to wisdom or stories traversed through oral tradition, including myths, legends, and teachings. The term folklore is directly derived from this. In contemporary times, the term has become synonymous with the stories and mythologies in fantasy books and role-playing video games, where backstory details were essential for building immersive worlds. And then it talks about how like Marvel and a lot of video games and stuff like that have like these super dramatic like lore stories where like this character had met this character.
Yeah,
and
it's like
this.
The Last of Us, which is a TV show based on a video game, and all those gamers like the lore. Yes, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Some argue that overloading stories with complex lore dilutes narrative's clarity, turning lore into a buzzword. And searches for the word have increased by 80% in 4 years, sparking curiosity while being used much more in a fascinating example of how younger generations reinterpret common language. For Gen Z, lore is a way to narrativize everyday life, transforming ordinary experiences into micro stories. And then we're just going to watch this one TikTok that explains the different uses of lore that Gen Z has.
You think you know what lore means, but do you understand how Gen Z uses it? Having lore, dropping lore, and dad lore. Here, having lore means sharing a wealth of interesting experiences together that most people don't know the details of. An individual can also have lore if they have a mysterious and interesting life story. Someone's lore is hidden, but can be uncovered, often through conversation. Secondly, dropping lore is revealing an anecdote about someone or something's past which was not previously known to the listener. For example, last night Owen dropped the craziest lore about David. Or, new lore just dropped about David. This brings us to dad lore and the jokes that surround it. Since fathers tend to open up less to their children, the joke is that they will casually reveal some shocking anecdote from their past, leaving their kids struck by how little they know about their dad's life story. Like this. Dad lore is low-key the craziest thing because you get it.
I feel like when you really break down any Gen Z slang term, it becomes really corny. But I honestly really like lore. I think like any kind of trending term, like I get the ick a little bit when I use it myself, like casually, and it just comes out. But I think it's really cool, and I think it's really layered. And I think it definitely goes hand in hand with, in the article I was talking about, how we like to transform ordinary experiences into micro stories, because I feel like it makes us feel better about ourselves maybe, and we love to like romanticize everything right now because like shit is so bad. It's literally like you watch a TikTok and someone washes their face and it's like fucking like the beginning of a movie and it's like so perfect and whatever. But yeah, I think like this is interesting too, because when we talked about in the Bop episode, lore was really like your hoe shit, you know, that's what I was kind of equating it with, but it's clearly so much more than that too.
Yeah, like you could have like bop lore, you could have stripper lore, you could have like drug dealer lore, like it's all the things. Dad lore. And I feel like a lot of like, it's funny because it's such an old term. So like you're using it in this almost like ironic way, but also like the literal meaning of lore is like you learn something from it. So like every story has this like lesson or like coming of age, coming aboutness to it.
Yeah. And that's why it's like that TikTok we watch where guys will like, you'll be chilling with a girl and all of a sudden out of pocket, she just says something about her past. And it's like, that is an attempt. Like that is her reaching out to be like, I want you to learn about me. Because like what we said, like when you tell people things about yourself and it's received well, it feels really fucking good because we want to be known. Like we want our lore to be heard, whether or not we're ready to say it. But I think the end goal is we do want to tell our lore because we want to be known better and understood. Like I really think we all humans just really yearn for that.
Yeah, and it's sincere in a way too. Like it's got the like meta irony like going on, which like we're gonna talk about soon, but it's like that layer of like I'm not being serious because I'm using this old term, but I am. Like even the way Ava Louise is telling her story, like she's doing it with her eyes wide and like this very matter-of-fact face, and she's like, this is what happened, like this is why I did it, like, you know what I'm saying? She's joking and she's making it humorous, but she's also like, this is some traumatic shit that I'm telling you guys.
And we cope like with humor. Like it's easier to be like, oh yeah, my lore is that my nudes went around the whole middle school and like like everyone was like bullying me, but it's actually not funny, and it's like a huge reason why I made a lot of choices that I did, and why I felt the way about my body that I did too, because it was being so looked at so much, you know? Yeah. And so, but yeah, and it makes it easier to kind of make it that irony way. And I think that is like Gen Z loves that because it's like a coping mechanism. Like we want to be known so bad, and this is an easier way to do it, to just be like, oh yeah, my lord, da da da. Okay, anyways, so like that's how
and then it's so different online too, because it becomes this form of like literal entertainment, like how we're watching Ava Louise's story. Like I watched that whole thing over like Christmas, January break or whatever. But then like the second TikTok said like, oh, Brian just dropped some crazy lore last night. Like it can be used as like a joke to also discount someone's like vulnerable sharing too, you know? So that can be like fucked up as well. Like
Oh my God, that's so true, because someone could present you with some information and not be like, oh, like my lord, da da da. And then you text someone later and you're like, damn, they just dropped. Yeah,
They just
deep.
dropped lore like it was like too much or something like that. Like they just like overshared, or they just did like some extra shit. So it's like, we're making fun of like people actually like creating connections and just talking about their life story and like all of that stuff.
The intention of lore, while it is funny, like really is just wanting to be known, and it is really vulnerable sharing. Like it's fucking crazy. That's so true. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that.
And sometimes it is too much. Like I've had people before, especially when I'm working at the bar, like they just want to like pop in and drop their lore
mutual,
like all day.
It's
like
just
it's just
yeah.
It's too much.
Sometimes people drop lore not to get to know you or want them to get to know you. They just
get it off
are
their
trauma
chest.
dumping. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Oversharing, trauma dumping. Definitely listen to that episode. That's a good one with this one. But next I want to talk about how much lore you should be sharing with your partner specifically. Because we're a sex and relationships podcast, and we talked about this a little bit in our BOP episode where we talked about BOP lore. And like me and Autumn, like we have some unique lore, like about our sexuality, about the relationships that we've been in, some stuff
and it's
that like
terrifying.
Yeah, that I don't know. Like we both date men and women, but like men in particular, like definitely
and
don't
it's
fucking
even
love.
just like getting to know a woman or whatever, and like you dated a man, and like the shit that you like put up with. It's like embarrassing as fuck. Like it's so embarrassing. So
and there's a lot out there about like you shouldn't tell your partner this shit because they'll use it against you, like that whole idea. So whatever.
Especially
we asked
with men,
we asked you guys, how much lore do you want to know about someone you're dating? 79% said all the lore. 15% said I only want the lore that isn't about their exes / past sex life. And 6% said I only care about who they are now.
Nobody gives a fuck about who they are now.
I'm like, that's like not a right answer, because you can't know who they are now unless you know about their past. But
agreed.
I feel like they're lying.
What do you mean?
Because that is not my common experience.
Right.
Like, everybody's saying like, oh, I want to know all the lore. Like, no, like, the fuck you don't. Do you really? We get our feelings hurt.
And that brings into it, it's like people say they want to get to know the real you. Like, I want to get to know all the parts of you, but then you drop some shit and they were not ready for that, okay?
They don't want to know.
And then it turns into, like, and then you feel bad about yourself, but it's like, that's them. Like, they weren't ready to hear that. Like, people love to say they want honesty, but they can't really handle the truth, myself included. I'm not separating myself. And I feel like I'm definitely a really like naturally jealous person. Like I'm a Taurus, sun, like whatever. And I feel like I definitely am very slow in terms of asking questions about people's past, like exes, like not really about their sex life. Like I don't care. Like, I want to know about all the kinds of sex you have. Like, what do you like? Like, what have you done? What do you not like? Whatever. But in terms of like, oh, like, so what, like, did you really love about that person, or what was really great about that relationship? Like, I'm fine with hearing what was bad. Like, why'd y'all break up? Like, you know what I mean? But like those things, which is, I think is really important, because like we have relationships, in every relationship, there were things that I really loved. And I was like, yes, like this is what I want. And then there were things that you didn't, and you focus hard on the things that like, oh, this is why that didn't work out. It makes yourself feel better. You're like, da da da. But it's important to like know what you did like in those relationships and communicate that, because it doesn't mean that person's the only person that can give you that thing. Like anybody can give you that. It doesn't need to be specific to them. I think eventually, though, I do want to know all the lore, just because I want to know someone. Like, I really want to know them. Yeah. But am I ready to receive that information at all given points of the day? Fuck no. Like, I need to be in a specific headspace to be like, what did you love about your last partners? Like, what? Like,
because
I can't just pop that out. Right.
Yeah, because it could be like your last partner used to like make you come in this way, and then for whatever reason you can't make them come. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, I'm never gonna be enough. Like I'm worse than your last partner. Like whatever.
Which
like it opens up those doors.
Right. It's also just simply the truth that there are things from your past relationships that you liked that you might not ever find again. But then you realize like, well, it wasn't that important to me to begin with, because this person offers something completely new, which is cool too. Like we don't want to rinse and repeat. But I do think, overall, I do want to know all the lore. I'm definitely scared for someone to know all the lore about me, though. And,
Yeah,
like,
same.
maybe if I just said it out loud, it wouldn't seem so bad. Like, the biggest things is obviously, like, having sex for money and, like, whatever. But, like, those are the biggest things. But not even just having sex for money, but, like,
how
like,
it made
some
you
of the
feel.
things I did. Yeah, like, how it made me feel after, like, the way... Because I don't even really know. Like, I haven't fully unpacked all that. And, like, I think I have. And I think if I just spoke about it, it wouldn't really be that bad, you know? But it's just, like, you keep it inside so it feels, like, horrible.
Yeah.
But it's scary. Like, it's not light because as we've realized, lore is not just about your past partner. It's also about, like, your family and how they traumatized you because that very much comes into the person that you are. Like, again, we all have flaws. It's for sure. Like, there is no real Prince Charming that's like titi, but there is. But, like, yeah, we're all flawed. I want to know about it, but it's difficult. These are not easy conversations, especially for me.
Yeah, and I think, like, to some degree you have to, like you said, like, maybe figure it out in yourself first before, like, there's certain things like with your partner that it's like you can work through with them, like in your relationship, like this thing you do, like, I don't know how I feel about it, whatever, but like things from your past, especially, like, I've been like weird about even talking about like my ex and the abusive relationship I went through, like, to certain partners because, like, I don't think I was completely over it yet. Like, I still had like love for him in certain ways in a complicated relationship, and that is so hard to explain to someone who's never like experienced abuse and been like, oh, like, you still miss that, like, you know what I'm saying, like stuff like that.
Yes, Fiji.
So I think it's so important for you because you don't want to just drop something on someone and then make them insecure about it. Like, there's certain things that maybe you should keep from your partner, which is what we asked you guys next.
And if they receive it wrong, it's going to hurt. Like, it's
going to
risk.
become an issue.
Exactly. Like, having someone say to you, like, how could you still have love for him? How do you still miss him? Like, that is so hurtful because you're like, I know. Like,
and
I
then
don't
it just
know.
becomes about that.
Yeah.
It would just become about that and not like everything else.
Yeah. You're like, did you hear everything else I said? Yeah.
Right. And we asked you guys, are there certain things you should keep from your partner to protect their feelings/view of you? And you guys know we love a 50-50 poll. This one is literally
shit.
Literally 50% said yes, 50% said no. And like, I think that there are certain things you should keep from your partner. Like, I used to very much believe that when I had a boyfriend and, like, say I walked to the corner store and, like, a dude hit on me, like, I used to believe that I should, like, tell them because I felt, like, guilty about it or whatever.
Oh.
But then, like, it would make them like jealous and like mad at me, and I'm like, why do I even need to tell them about it? Like, it's almost like I want to, like, one, I feel like guilty, or two, like, I want them to remember that I'm still hot or something like that. It's like, they don't need to know. Like, they don't need to have that extra anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, if they're around me and they see it happen, like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I should just keep that to myself.
Point. Yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah, it's like, I feel like sometimes, like, telling your partner that is kind of, like, flirty and, like, in a weird way. But, yeah, it's not necessary. Like, especially if you, like, it was, like, you obviously didn't feel anything for it. Like, you weren't, you know, like, who needs to know that? I think it's hard. Like, I think especially in, like, lesbian world, it's, like, you, like, in my past relationships with women, it's, like, we definitely, like oversharing is, you know, like, it's just constant. Like, the communication, the conversations, like, you have to be awake and ready. Like, it's not like being with a guy at all.
Yeah.
Or not most guys.
Because they actually ask questions. Like, that's the other thing. Like, even how you said, like, you're slow to ask. Like, I feel like every guy, like, even if I'm just, like, fucking them, like, I ask a lot of questions because I just want to know about who they are, like, what you've been through, like, whatever. I'm a fucking podcaster. Like, I want to know. And usually it rarely hurts my feelings because, like, I'm putting it into the broader context of, like, you. But, like, a lot of guys don't ask you shit. Right. They don't really want to know.
Yeah. And it's like, this question kind of, like, is, like, kind of deep for me because I kind of have this idea that, like, if I say, yes, I think there are things you should keep from your partner, that I'm, like, a bad person.
Right.
Because I feel like we've been taught that, like, you know, no, like, lying, cheating, like, that's where your mind goes. But, like, your example was so good because you're like, why do I need to make them feel some type of way? And maybe your partner's like, like, if you ever get hit on, like, I want you to tell me because, like, it really turns me on that, like, people are
Right.
looking at my girl like that. And you're like, okay, bet. But, like, if they're not, like, going to receive that well, like, yeah, why do you need to ruin their day? Like, if they're not,
Right.
like, confident and they're like, oh, you know,
Because
it
they
depends
also
on-
have, like, your partner is, like, their own person, and they have a whole bunch of other shit to, like, worry about. And, like, you don't need to, like, merge as people, and, like, they need to know every single
and they
thing
could
that
be
happens
having
to
like
you.
a bad day in that moment, and then you're like, oh, and they're like, fuck, like, you
They're
know,
like,
like
what?
timing is like everything. Like, maybe if you guys are in bed later and you're being kinky, you could be like, oh, by the way, like,
Right,
I was
if
at the
it's
coffee
kinky.
shop, yeah, and like it comes up that way. But yeah, the need to like tell because you feel like you did something wrong as a woman is like a whole
Right.
other conversation. Because,
Right.
oh my God, like that's not your fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a great example. But yeah, I don't know. This question's kind of deep for me. Like, I feel like I'm not fully there. Like, I don't really know because I just feel like keeping things in has hurt me in the past. So I want to let them know everything. But I guess there are some things that it's like, yeah, they don't really need to know.
Yeah, I feel that too. Like, I feel like in the past in my relationships, I've done too much like people pleasing in the beginning where I'm not like, these are my core values. Like, this is what I've went through. This is what has made me this person. Like, those things I don't need to keep from my partner. Like, I need to tell, like, the serious shit, like, you shouldn't, like, even if it's like they're not pleasuring you in bed or like they do this weird thing that you don't like and like
tough, yeah.
whatever, like those things, like, you should tell them, you
Yeah.
know, but certain like little stuff, I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
you don't need to tell them everything.
Yeah, that's so crazy because telling someone that they're not pleasuring you right in bed is like really scary. I feel like the only time I should have maybe said something is with my ex-boyfriend because I would like masturbate after he fell asleep. But I also like didn't even want to be that intimate with him and have him make me come because I was already like, this isn't going to work out and I'm down bad. So it was a little bit of that. But yeah, that's hard. That's hard.
And they don't receive it well. Like, I've told one
Hell
of my partners
no.
in the past, like, hey, like, I did it. Or he would ask, like, did you come? Like, whatever. And I'd be like, no. And then all of a sudden it makes our sex life worse because he couldn't, like, fathom that information or figure out how to make it better. And it's like, no, it's not that I'm not attracted to you. Like, I still am. But this is something to work on. And that's anytime you are vulnerable and you say, like, a truth that might hurt them, you also have to be prepared for it to backfire in a lot of ways too.
Right. And if anyone's ever said that to you, like anyone listening, like I do feel like as it is hurtful, at the end of the day, if they didn't say anything, wouldn't that be worse? Because then they don't really care. They're like, I'm not being pleasured, but whatever. If they say that to you, that means they want it to be better. So it's like, we just have to like tackle that insecurity and be like, okay, like this, my partner just said something so hard and like maybe you cry about it. I for sure would, but I'd also be like, all right, I'm gonna kick it into gear. like
let's
try
figure this out.
some new shit. Like
some
I'm
new
ready.
toys, something.
Right. Like you gotta just get over that. But yeah, that is like really scary. I knock on wood. I guess like long-term partnerships, inevitably you might have to like I don't know.
Yeah. So next, returning to that New York Times article, like, does anyone really know you? They brought up this book called Anna Karenina, and I bought the book. It's like over 1,000 pages. I'm gonna read it.
Oh, this
but
is the
I
one.
like I couldn't read it in time for this episode. I had like a week, guys. But in the book, the main character has a long confided what has tormented him in his diary, which he's always imagined as addressed to his future fiance before getting married. He takes the step of sharing his diary with his fiance. Ooh. And the main character, Levin, is somewhat surprised that Kitty, his fiance, who is religious, is unbothered by the skepticism the diary reveals. She's devastated, however, by his quote-unquote impurity. Take these terrible books, she tells him, weeping when he visits her. Why did you give them to me? No, all the same, it's better. I've forgiven you, but it's terrible. Levin is ashamed and horrified, yet at the same time, his happiness was so great that this confession did not destroy it, but only added a new shade to it. They don't know everything about each other, that's impossible, but they don't know themselves completely either, but they want to know. I think this story is like really beautiful and one of those kind of like tragic things about life, right? Because he has written all these like deep, terrible secrets, and he shares it with her, like thinking it's gonna make him like never, it's either you love me or you don't situation, like this is me, like I'm revealing who I am. And those parts she doesn't really care about. It's like the parts that go against her religion, so it's like something else. So then he has like a new insecurity, a new battle to deal with
you
her.
didn't even know you had.
That you didn't even know you had, but at the same time, she's accepting you for the other bullshit. And I think that that's like one of the beautiful things about relationships is sometimes like the shit that you carry that's like so heavy that you feel like someone else isn't gonna love. Like maybe they will, but then they're gonna find something
random
else.
shit that like you didn't even think twice about, and they're like, whoa, that's too much for me.
That's too far. But then you gotta like figure it out as a couple or as a friendship, as a family or like whatever. And that's how like growth happens, which is really beautiful too.
Right. Because it's growth for you, like that you were surprised by that. And you're like, oh, like this is something I carry around so deeply. And it's not that it doesn't mean anything to them. They understand, but it's like, it's not a deal breaker. Like it's not something they're going to like shame you like you've shamed yourself. And that's really healing. But I also think it would be emotional that I'm like, oh shit, this is something else. And then like I have to explain it. And I didn't even think that was bad. But I do think that's beautiful about relationships too. I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like the relief of getting it off your chest and like telling someone, like the relief of being like, I don't have to carry this by myself. I don't have these secrets. Like I can just like tell you. And then they still fuck with you. Like, I feel like that. And that's the thing, too. Like, a lot of times when we, like, overshare or we, like, share the sincerity, this vulnerability, like, you kind of have to be, like, that is the main part. And whatever the other person does next doesn't really matter. It's more about, like, you and your personal development. Because you can decide what to do from there. Like, either they accept you and you continue the relationship, or they don't. And maybe they're, like, not the person for you.
Right. Because it's, like, we project so much. Because as much as we think, it's, like, this big scary thing that we're like telling our partner is like about them. It's like really like about us and like our ability to communicate that. Like I've like communicated things before and it like really upset someone, but like I felt so much better. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, I know that you're like hurting right now, but I feel so much better that I let that out, you know?
Yes.
And that's complicated and you still need to obviously be there for them. But that's real as fuck. Like you and your partner are having totally different like reactions to this right now. And that's hard, but I think that's like beautiful too. And then you work through it. And
yeah. Cause sometimes you have to like shatter someone's perception of you because it's like, that's
you've
not
done
really
so much
me.
people pleasing,
Right. Or
they
they've done
just
too
like
much
perceived
projecting.
it wrong. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly. But next we're going to talk about Gen Z meta-irony memes and the sincerity crisis. And we did talk about this a little bit in our ins and outs episode. We talked about the whole Ethel cain post and everything like that. And we're going to talk about that more here too. But first we asked you guys, do you think our generation has a problem with being vulnerable and sincere? And 82% of you guys said yes. 16% said no. And I feel like definitely we fucking do.
Absolutely. I don't think it's just our generation, but I do think like all the like meta irony hasn't helped.
Yes. So a lot of people think this lack of sincerity and vulnerability comes from Gen Z's humor and meta-irony. So let's explain irony and the levels of irony, meta-irony, and Gen Z and millennials real quick with this TikTok.
I was watching a video by this Gen Z YouTuber. I'm a millennial, and she was talking about the difference between millennial humor and Gen Z humor. There are levels to irony, right? So the first level of irony is to say something that isn't true as if it is. Beautiful weather we're having when it's raining, you know. And the second level, post-irony, that's what millennials use, is, oh my god, I'm a fool! As if you're being silly, but you really are a fool. The next level is meta-irony, which is what Gen Z uses. The humor seems to come from this, like, gray space where you're like, is this funny because it's true or because it's not? That's why there's so many comments say, I can't tell if you're joking or not. And that's Gen Z humor, is you can't tell if they're joking or not. In fact, I wonder what percentage of those comments come from millennials. If you see one of those comments, report back. Let me know if it was a millennial or a Gen Z user who said that. And I think for a millennial, it's cringy. Let's say my joke is that I'm still the person who says like rawr XD. I don't want people to think that I'm that person. Gen Z is okay with you not knowing if it's a persona. That's the humor. And I think that the reason that millennials are so sensitive to that, it feels viscerally wrong to lead people to think I'm dorky on the internet, because so many of us grew up being dorky on the internet. We were super hulock people on Tumblr, or we posted like those stupid lizard memes. And then time passed and we got made fun of for being earnest and sincere about thinking those things were funny. But Gen Z was born into that. So for them, it is funny that it might be true. But for us, it's like, don't put me through this again.
So just to give an example of like meta irony, or this like a joking but not,
which is meta irony, like that. I'm not gonna lie, I know what it means, but I'm just like like it hurts
like
a
what?
little bit.
Yeah,
My brain is like, ow.
Yeah, because technically it's a literary device or an art device, and we're gonna talk about like what it means more in a second. But like an example that I can think of is like, do you know who Carrington is?
Yes.
Okay, and he would post a lot of like cringy TikToks where he's like doing cringy shit, and you don't know if he's being serious or joking, but you kind of know that he's joking because he'd like laugh halfway through. And then like halfway through his like TikTok career, he like launched his music career, like low key joking, but like also serious. And now he's like the new Lil Peep. So it's like, it's like that, where you have like like he's not being serious about being like an emo boy music artist, but he is being serious only if you guys fuck with it though.
Right.
Like kind of situation.
And that's like so like Gen Z, just in terms of everything. It's like anything like cool that you do, or like the talent you put out, it's like, oh, it's not that serious though.
Right.
And
like it's
I
not
feel
that deep.
very much right now like getting ready too hard, or like trying hard to look cute is like not in, but I love really trying to look cute.
See, I feel like the era, I was thinking about that today, like my era in fashion, I feel like is a little camp, a little messy. Like I want to look messy. Like even my hair right now, and when I'm taking TikToks, like I want to look
not completely perfect.
effortless. Right, like I
like,
didn't try too hard. Like I'm like, I just left the party. Like
yeah, like
it's not that
the
serious.
wind is blowing.
It's not that serious, but I like put my hair in rollers,
but I'm like
and, like,
constantly
did all this
touching
shit.
it. Yeah,
right. Like it's not serious, but it's serious, guys.
I touch my hair so much. It's actually when I was with my mom, she was like, "Wow, you touch your hair a lot," and I was like, "Fuck,
I'm sorry."
Do I actually? I don't think that I do.
It's a nervous habit. It's a flirty habit. It's a nervous habit.
Like,
Ooh. But this article says post-irony is a form of two-layer irony, i.e., returning to sincerity from irony. For instance, your friend makes misogynistic jokes ironically, like, yes, women belong in the kitchen, starts holding sincere opinions that are misogynistic in nature. His jokes would no longer be perceived ironically. In this way, you are misled through a layer of irony when, in reality, he was being sincere the whole time.
No, it's getting too much.
I have been in this situation, guys, and I think part of the problem is that I'm too smart and I'm interpreting things ironically, but they're not. Like me and one of my exes like would have a joke. We would make sexist jokes, and I thought we were being ironic, but I think he was being. I came to find out later through fighting that he was being serious. Like he would say shit like. I can't even think of a fucking example because it's so fucking stupid, guys. But like, yes, women belong in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh yeah, babe, let me go make you food because I belong in the kitchen. He'd be like, yeah.
No.
But he really thought I belonged in the kitchen, but I wasn't being serious. So
yeah, it's similar to like
up.
being with a man that like is misogynistic, like for real, and you low key have like a kink of like someone being like degrading you like a misogynistic in that way.
Yes.
And then you like realize who the fuck they are, and then you're like, oh my God, like that actually wasn't a fantasy. Like he actually felt that about me, and then you want to throw up and die. So
and then you're like, and then that's like, is it my fault because I was projecting like my reality onto like who you were when you were being serious?
Right.
But I also thought we were all like kidding.
Right.
So like,
right. And that's like when
I
said, like when my ex-boyfriend drove me to the strip club, dropped me off, like I thought we were feministing, like listening to Janelle Monáe in the car on the way there.
Yep.
No, I was just
serious.
a body. Yeah.
Yeah, he was serious. If you think that's confusing though, the literary tool for humor used by Gen Z will definitely make your brain hurt. Introducing meta-irony. This is when it becomes unclear whether the speaker is being ironic or sincere. The statement is simply left to interpretation. Is the speaker being sincere or ironically mocking the sincere? You'll never know. That is the joke.
You know what? Honestly, guys, like, we're so poetic for real. Like, you know
Like,
what?
literally.
Because at the end of the day, okay, they said the statement is simply left to interpretation. Bro, it's left to interpretation regardless if you're being sincere or you're joking. So why don't we make them wonder? And you know what? If they're ready to hear that shit, they'll know, okay? And the people that don't know, they're just not in. Like,
But
they
there's
don't get
problems with that, and we'll get to those problems in a minute.
Oh, God.
But
am I
on
going
the
to eat
internet,
my words?
You might.
Okay,
Politically,
cool.
you might.
Oh,
On the internet.
my God. Fiji, stop. Okay, let's go.
On the internet, this is commonly known as the Schrodinger's cat meme concept, arising from the thought experiment Schrodinger's cat. Schrodinger's cat is a thought experiment.
I know who Schrodinger is. That's
Okay.
so familiar,
How?
dude. I don't know. Like, is this like psychological type shit?
Yes, it's an Austrian physicist, Erwin Schrödinger.
No,
in
yeah,
1935, he illustrated a problem with the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics. Anyway, based on the Copenhagen interpretation, the cat inside the box would be both dead and alive until someone lifted the box. What Copenhagen's interpretation simply meant was that to know the state of the cat, the lid of the box would have to be lifted. Just like how in meta-ironic Gen Z memes, the origin of the comedic product must be known in order for the audience to know whether the humor was ironic or not. So, for example, if I posted a TikTok and I said, "Sluts deserve to die," like, some people would be in my comments like, yes, sluts deserve to die. And then some people would be like, LOL, Fiji, you're so funny because we know that you love sluts and don't believe they deserve to die. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know unless you have the context of it, which makes it really fucking difficult on TikTok where you're generally swiping on people you don't have any contextual information on.
And this kind of reminds me of the whole thing of like how our moms are like, don't call each other bitches because then men are going to think it's okay to call you bitches. Like, at the end of the day, it's like we want to be ironic and funny, but like audience matters. And like on the internet, like there's everyone to perceive that information. And that's why some people listen to us weekly. Okay, yeah, the Spotify views, yeah.
You guys
and
know.
Some people will listen to our episodes and comment that we need Jesus, you know? And
well,
it's like,
and some people have never listened to us and think that our podcast is completely different than what it actually is based off what we post.
Like, we need to stop being like embarrassed to tell people about it. It's like it's like not even that bad.
Yeah.
Like, we literally are like intellectualizing trends. Okay?
But when we tell people that, they don't take us seriously.
Right. Because it's called So Wet, So Dry. So they think so slut, so pussy. I don't
pussy,
know.
So slut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But dude, I for sure know who this guy is, and the cat lid in the box. Like, that was in some class somewhere.
And it's
the way they compared all that shit to what's going on TikTok is wild. Like,
and it's the same in our relationships, right? Like, until we lift the inside of our ex-boyfriend's brain to see all the misogyny going on in there, we did not know that this was not a joke.
And it's like, we did like know deep down, bro. It's like we're not choosing to fully see people, and
but
like,
we're tricking ourselves. Like,
it's a survival. Like, I'm trying to protect myself, but no, like, that's bullshit. Like, you're hurting yourself for real, and I'm never doing that shit again.
Yeah, fuck that. I'm gonna, like, every time someone's joking, I'm gonna stop them and be like, wait, did you mean that as a joke or were you serious? Like, I'm gonna get so much more serious.
Let's talk about it, right?
Let's talk about it. Let's unpack that. But then they say it's all because while millennials had to adapt to technology, Gen Z simply grew up with it, similar to what that TikTok said. This created a natural intimacy with our use of the internet that older generations don't possess. It would be rare for a millennial to create a meta-ironic persona that makes them look quote-unquote weird because they don't want to risk people mistaking their ironic content for being completely sincere. Well, for Gen Z, being quirky and unusual is attractive, making them more likely to adopt a meta-ironic internet persona. You wouldn't know they're joking unless you know their honest personality, i.e. via context. In turn, massive amounts of content is so easily accessible to Gen Z that such oversaturation of satire and irony leads to a desire for the zany, the more absurd, the better. And I can think of like multiple TikTok accounts I know where like someone will do a bit. Like there's this one guy in Boston, and I think he goes to Berkeley, I forget his name. Yeah, I forget his name. It's like like it's some weird shit, but like people are always like, break character, like please break character. Like, is this who you actually are? Like I don't know if this is serious. Yeah, like is this serious or not? Or like even like, you know, Thickney? No. She's like the one that posts like the crash out videos. Like she's always like crashing out over something, but it's like, but she's like joking, but being serious, but like you don't really know. Like all of that stuff. It's like, yeah, like people do it online because they see it separate from their own life, and they know that some niche community is going to find this like funny. Right. You know?
But it's gonna, like, if it gets into the wrong hands, which it probably will, and it's not going to be received correctly. That's why you have to be like so brave to post anything, because it's fucking scary out there for real. Like,
because someone's going to take it too seriously. Like I posted, for example, guys, I posted a cute video of me drinking a glass of wine and singing to some song in a TikTok. and someone commented, alcoholism.
I saw that.
And I was like, all right.
No, your response to 8 though, you said something like, I forget what you said.
I said,
was
boo.
Like,
no fun or some shit like that, because I was like, bro, like it's not that serious, like I'm being cute right now.
Oh my god, I know, that was crazy. Yeah, but that's exactly it. And it's like how the article said, like, you're not gonna know they're joking unless you actually know them and like their personality. Just like people that you know would be like, yeah, Fiji doesn't think sluts should die. Like that's a huge part of like
Yeah, but here is a TikTok explaining kind of like the danger and the confusion and all of this meta irony.
No, because honestly, like a lot of times I'm like, guys, like the trends, they're detrimental, like the language we use, but can we just like are we about to take a turn where like all of this is bad?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes, we're going to take a partial turn. We're going to go in a circle. It's almost like we're on a roundabout,
but we don't
know
need
which
fucking,
exit
like,
we're getting off of.
Yeah, we're not taking like a sharp left.
It's
like,
not
we're, like,
all bad.
Cruising.
We're cruising around,
Gen Z's humor is basically what used to be like fringe millennial humor. It's called meta-modern or post-postmodern. It's the type of art that is like a mix of sincere and ironic at the same time. So like memes are like that. Like it's ironic, but it's also sincere, but it's ironic, but it's also sincere. And like, there's no limit to that. But if the general trend is that we're going from sincere, simple stuff to more ironic and layered stuff, isn't it gonna get crazy at a certain point? Like it already feels crazy, the memes that we have today, but like just from an IQ perspective, most people with an average IQ can't handle more than 2 or 3 layers of thinking at once. And that's essentially where meta-modern humor takes you. It's like 2 or 3 layers, it's right on the edge, but if we get to 4 or 5 or 6 layered humor, it's just going to be too much. So I actually think we're about to turn and go back the other way, or we get brain implants, which makes us smarter, and then we just get insanely exponential humor and it goes off the map.
No, guys, because this made me feel so much better about myself, because I like never know what's going on. Like I need Fiji to like explain the trends to me, and then like I get it. But I'm like, this isn't bad though. Like it's making us smarter. Like they say like social media brain rot. Like no, bro.
But it's brain growth. Like it's brain fertilizer.
It could be
low key.
if you use it correctly. Yep. But yeah, like this shit is confusing. Like it is confusing. Like you can't just go on TikTok and mindlessly scroll anymore. You're like trying to figure out if someone's being serious or not. And I feel like when it comes to TikTok and whatever, like this can exist, but like in personal relationships, you shouldn't be like trying to figure out if they're being serious or not. Like you definitely should know. So I can see how this would twist, but like this guy, like I feel like we should protect him for sure. Like he's like, where is this gonna go? Like this is gonna get bad, crazy. And it's already getting bad. But I feel like for us, it's a little different. But I feel like for younger Gen Z, it's like they're like growing up in this time where like it was like never sincere. So it's like that worry, like, are you going to be able to like communicate your feelings like properly? Because you can't always just say like, oh, it's my lore anyways. So like you have to actually like learn how to communicate, but that's me just like being super deep, like, you know what I mean, like that.
Well, it is deep though, like even how he's talking about the IQ level, like I was thinking about that because I'm like,
what is
I love,
bro?
No, you have a strong IQ because we do this, like we're nerds that dissect internet shit like every fucking week, so we're forced to think critically about it. But like, I love a layered meme with like 8 different interpretations.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
because
saying.
It makes
Sometimes
my
your
brain
memes, I don't understand them.
Right.
The more words on them, I'm lost, bro. I'm lost.
But I love, okay, because there's so much you could do on social media, because just think about the fact that it's like you're recording a TikTok and it's like you recording the TikTok, and then it's also like the visual of the TikTok, and then you have the layer of the audience. And it's the same with, and then the audience. And then it's the same with memes where it's like you have a picture, but then you have the words, and then the words could be interpreted in multiple different ways. So it's like, you got to dissect it. And it's like, guys, like I have an English degree, like still just a bachelor's degree, but it's like, I like to interpret this stuff. The average person, especially growing up in Trump's America, as we're defunding the Department of Education and getting rid of, again, critical race theory and all this stuff, no one is going to understand anything. And then it's going to be like the elites of like understanding irony versus everybody, or it's going to challenge people to learn more, I guess. I don't know.
That's what I'm leaning towards. Like, that's what I'm leaning towards.
Right.
I'm literally like, I think Gen Z proved those bitches wrong. Like, everyone thinks like we're stupid, we don't want to work, we're lazy, all this shit, but like really, like we're next leveling up over here.
We're like thinking. Like we're
thinking.
Creating content, we're consuming content. Like, in reality, everyone's like, oh, Gen Z doesn't read anymore. Do you think about like how much content we consume? Like we call it content, but some of this shit is art. Some of this shit is like literature. Like I'm watching video essays. Like you feel me? Like we are consuming. We are critically thinking.
With the right content, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And like there's caption reading too. Some of those captions are motherfucking long. Like it's a simple post of them looking cute, but it's a whole like mini monologue or memoir about what they're going through and all this shit. Like, yeah, like we're reading. Like we're definitely reading.
We're reading, we're consuming So still talking about meta irony and like our inability to take things seriously / be sincere, like We're going to return to Ethel Cain, which we did talk about in a past episode. I love Ethel Cain. If we want to talk about artists, Ethel Cain is a fucking artist. And also I use some of her sounds meta-ironically on my TikTok. So
okay. No, that's
Ethel
the
Cain,
thing, bro. The intentions behind the choices, like so much goes into it. And if your eyes are open to like art in this like new wave, like you're gonna see it. Like I really, I know I'm biased, but like I really think your TikToks are like something like you're onto it.
I'm
like you have
something.
it, babe. I need you to give it to me a little bit.
You have it too.
Okay.
You have it too, babe.
But
You just need to post
selection,
on TikTok.
Yeah.
You just need to get on your Zoom. But anyway, so Ethel Cain made this post pre-Perverts, which was about to come out, post Preacher's Daughter, where she was complaining about the lack of sincerity and people consuming her art and taking the time to digest her art and turning it into more like micro whatever. So this is part of her Tumblr post. Autumn's going to read it.
She said, okay, honestly, this is probably such a stupid rant, but I've been thinking about it for a few weeks now, but like nobody takes anything fucking seriously anymore. It makes me feel so crazy and annoyed because I'm constantly bombarded by jokes constantly. It's not even just me. I see it with literally every artist across multiple genres and mediums. And listen, I love to laugh and I love funny shit, but like we are in an irony epidemic. There is such a loss of sincerity and everything has to be a joke at all times. The number of times I have to read the same stupid shit like, yes, you ate that, like Isaiah ate Ethel, over and over. It makes me so mad. It's not everyone, obviously, but it's such a huge portion of the people who engage with me online and in real life that it's truly inescapable. I feel like no matter what I make or what I do, it will always get turned into a fucking joke. It's genuinely so embarrassing. I hate feeling like I'm constantly complaining, but I'm honest to God so turned off by so much of the way people engage with the shit I do and with most things in general. It's so beyond frustrating. I am so stressed out already anticipating the stupid shit I'm gonna have to see about perverts, LOL. It literally makes me never want to share anything again. I miss when I had like 20 fans who actually had something interesting to say in response to what I was making. I hate it here. Wow. And this is the downside. Like, I can really, really see this because you make it like it all has to do with perspective. Like, you're putting your lore out on the internet in a funny way, but clearly Ethel Cain's ready to have some serious conversation and doesn't need to cope with humor in order to share something personal and actually sincere. And that can be really hurtful when it's not receptive in that way. And it's so true. Like the part where she was like, I miss when I just had 20 fans, because I feel that way about a lot of artists that like I knew about. I've definitely gone through this with a lot of my favorite artists where I really, really loved them. Like before, like even Ariana Grande, bitch. The first, I met her for $200. Okay. This like nobody even knew, bro. And it's just like, I mean, yeah, but it's just crazy. And that's such a difference between when like someone really blows up, because then like we're saying, just when you put things on the internet, like the audience is now so wide and you're going to be perceived in so many different ways, and people are going to come to your show for so many different reasons because they want to fuck you, they hate you, they relate to you intellectually. Like you never know like what they're really going to get from it. And I can see, because like even the word like artist, right? It's like there's so many new forms of artistry now. Like someone that does skits on TikTok, you know? It's like that is art in a way. And it, especially in how it's done, but I believe that it really is. It's just like a new form of content. Yeah. And it's where like it used to be like there was no internet. You couldn't come up that way. Like it was like you had to be out in the street promoting yourself, which is like more sincere rather than just like making a weird TikTok and then you get lucky and blow up, you know? And so I can see why, like, because I think we all, like, there's singers and then there's artists, you know? And you can really feel the difference. And maybe like an artist to me is not an artist to someone else, but it's like if you're really in tune with someone. So I can see how Ethel Cain is just like, you know, just that feeling of like wanting to be known correctly. Like this is not a joke. Like I'm being serious. And so I can see how this is like a major downside of it all, and how like meta irony like can hurt art in a way if perceived incorrectly, because like, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, and it makes me think too, because even like some of the concepts that Ethel Cain deals with in her albums are like so deep and so emotional and reveal so much complexity about like relationships and all that stuff. But like it's almost embarrassing for some of her fans to be like, no, this is so deep. Like I'm posting this to my audience. Like I want you guys to know how sincerely I fuck with this. And so they're posting it in a meta-ironic way because they're being sincere, but you also don't know if they are being sincere because it's too deep to be like sincere about. And I feel like I've definitely done that with some, like I think of like even bands like Pierce the Veil, like some of their lyrics, I'm like, yes, like they just get me. Like this song is like so deep, but it's like I don't want to like post me
so
like
me coded, like me core.
Exactly, like too serious about it, because it's just like, okay, like nothing's that serious though.
But it's also like, how do you literally be sincere in a world of meta irony when the whole gag is you don't know if they're being sincere or not? So someone like Ethel Cain, who's like desperately actually trying to, there's like no chance because the whole thing is not knowing. So either way, it's like no one's ever really gonna know, like, was that serious? And as that does like protect our self-esteem sometimes, if someone's in a place where they're ready to be heard, like that is frustrating. Like how do you really be sincere for real in a meta irony world? I don't know.
Right, because you want people to engage with your work like seriously. I mean, like even us and doing the podcast, it's like when we have like we can joke, but when we have serious conversations about patriarchy or whatever, we want people to take us seriously and not just like joke all the time. Like it would be hurtful if someone was just like, oh yeah, those two like bops bimbos. That just, you know what I'm saying? Like we can make those jokes about ourselves, but like sometimes it's like, and we will, but sometimes it's like, damn, like that would be kind of hurtful if someone said that when we thought we said something kind of smart.
But then people will look at us and be like, but you guys are putting yourselves out there.
Right.
Like, we are bops. Like, how would you expect someone, you know? And it's just like, yeah, but like, you don't get it. Like, we're being, I honestly don't even, I feel like since we're like in this time so hard, it's like, I don't even really know if I am being serious or not.
Right.
Like, I think I'm joking, but I don't think anything I say is really a joke.
Right.
Like, I think there's truth to it. So that can be kind of scary, but I'm really comfortable in this place. Like, I'm fucking with it, you know?
Yes.
And I feel for Ethel Cain, I do, but like, I kind of like Meta.
I do too. I kind of fuck with Meta the more that I'm thinking about it.
Because it makes you feel so smart when you really get it, you know? And it's like,
and then you're like, oh, like they get the inside joke. Like they're in on it with me and the other people aren't. But there's some iffiness to that. So this article,
the politics, bro.
Yeah. So this article says social media, which has become a place for connection, has become a place of disconnection from the real world, art, or even each other. We no longer take time to digest the news of a tragically short life. They were talking about Liam Payne, or the disgusting nature of an assaulter. They were talking about Diddy. Instead, we make jokes and dilute these things down. Of course, humor is not a bad thing. It can help relieve stress and build bigger bonds between a community, but when it is used as a mechanism to avoid uncomfortable realities and a sense of sincerity, it becomes dangerous. Art often grapples with serious and uncomfortable topics like death, heartbreak, and abuse. When we dilute this media down to memes and jokes, we are robbing ourselves of the opportunity to engage deeply and fully. We are robbing ourselves of the chance to truly consume. After all, to consume something is to fully eat and digest it, to take in something that might change us. We say that we are consumers of media, but when we fall back on humor to avoid sobering truths, we are not consuming. We are simply letting that information wash past us. I will admit, I have participated in this ironic culture before, joking about how something is cringe or someone is doing too much. But like Ethel Cain writes in her post, I miss genuine passion. I dream of a world where Billie Eilish's song, What Was I Made For, was not memified, its lyrics replaced with AI cats meowing, and was instead met with genuine discussion of its deeply personal message. What would our social culture be like if we had discussions about what it means to be young and alive and deeply confused about our place in the world? What if we really sat down to process what its melancholic feeling means to us as listeners? And one other example that this article and a couple other ones gave, which is the political stuff, is the memification of Kamala Harris. And the like coconut
Kamala
memes.
is brat.
Kamala is brat. Kamala is mother. Like all of these things where we were like doing these silly little, and like how did that actually hurt the campaign? Because there were all of us that were in on the joke, but it was such a niche community, and then it caused other people to not take her seriously. And so then what do we do? Because we're memifying like actual cultural and political change, and we're just like joking and letting it wash past us instead of being like, no, like actually, like we don't want this to become like a Nazi regime, and we need this woman, like this woman is actually smart. And it's funny because like we're so smart, like it's not coming across that way, you know?
You gagged me. Like we're low key being like not inclusive.
Yeah.
Like if you're not in on it, you're not gonna get it. Cause at first I was like, I mean, like I don't think we've lost like genuine passion.
Yeah.
And like maybe there's just echo chambers and things like that. And I think you have to make the choice to critically engage with meta irony. Like you're not just gonna like, it's inevitable that you're gonna think about it critically. Like you do have to make that choice. And I guess like if a lot of people aren't, then like yeah, but I think the people that get it really do get it and are thinking critically. And I do feel like Gen Z has passion in a lot of ways and is like not afraid to be different and like that sort of era. But then the last paragraph about like the whole like Billie Eilish thing, What Was I Made For? Because that music video, like that made me cry. Like I love that music video. I haven't seen any AI cats with it, but definitely yes. And I just feel like that's unavoidable at this point with the internet culture. So I think like it's okay to be like mad about it, but I don't think that like all sincerity and genuine passion has been lost. I think it looks differently, but I've never thought about how Kamala Harris's campaign could have hurt because not everybody understood that. And it's like, you know, she like how many Gen Z voters voted for her, like a lot, but it clearly wasn't enough, and like that wasn't necessarily the demographic like she needed to really cater towards in order to like get everyone. And I'm not saying she did anything wrong. Like I genuinely think like it was a good campaign, and like I like whatever, it was fucking heartbreaking. Like I really believed in everything and like all of that. But I do think after reflection, like I have seen a lot of people talk about how like, and we've talked about like it wasn't the right demographic that she needed to like completely focus on, unfortunately, you know, because we're so divided. Like it's, and it even
hurt some people in Gen Z too, because people were saying, oh well, she's just being memeified and all this stuff, and you're not talking about Israel and Palestine and everything going on in Gaza and stuff like that too. Like you're not taking things serious that you should be taking serious. And like even like I remember talking to like one of the men that I used to fuck with that I soon realized probably voted for Trump instead of Kamala Harris. Again, like I thought we were being ironic, but like him watching those, and he was like, she's a meme, like she's not serious. Like people really think that like the IQ levels or the levels of being able to digest this media is completely different depending on where you come from, like what side you sit on and whatever. And like how badly does that hurt? And I think about that with us sometimes, even like the way that we market our podcast and do our skits. I mean, like we are a very inside joke, like with our skits and stuff like that, with our memes, all of those things. But then like we're really sincere in a lot of episodes too, like very sincere.
Like literally we've like been so close to tears and so many.
Yeah.
Like it is really sincere. But yeah, I think like people memify themselves like because like that's what's like working right now, you know?
Yeah.
Do people have like really sincere audiences that there's so much mummification going on? I don't know. And I think we always worry that we're too niche, and that's been a worry for us from the beginning, because is somebody gonna get it? Like there's so many things that we say, if perceived wrong and cut into a compilation
and taken out of context,
it's gonna look really bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've straight up been like bisexual men, I don't know, but like I was like unpacking my like internalized biphobia and like how I look at men, and I'm just being honest, because I think sometimes we need to say hard things, although very problematic and like not something I'm proud of, you know?
Right.
And it's like, so yeah, it's very worrisome. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like people look at Gen Z in so many different ways. And like, I'm still kind of stuck in like, they all have different colors hair and like everyone's queer and like non-binary. But it's not so much more than that. I know. And it's not like the whole world is not Emerson College.
Right.
Like, so yeah, but this is, the Kamala Harris stuff really gagged me, because it's like, but it's not some big secret to get. Like, how do you not get what brat is? It literally just means like cool, fun, like empowerment. Right. Like it's not even that serious. Right.
Yeah, but people aren't getting it. But, and this last article just says that it's called The Irony of Irony is Gen Z Scared of Showing Sincerity. And I just like the quote where it says, fake it till you make it has become the do it ironically until it becomes genuine. However, why is a generation that so strongly demands transparency from brands and public figures so embarrassed of showing sincerity?
Yeah, that's the irony within itself. It's literally.
It's so
and we're
true.
Like, why don't you love me, daddy? Like, why can't you see the real me?
Yep.
But it's like, we're not like letting people like see the real us, and like they're confusing our irony with this and our sincerity with this, and yeah, fuck.
And like part of me thinks it's like a capitalism thing too, because it's like we can't just transparently be super genuine and out there in ourselves, because like capitalism, you still have to work a job, you still have to be taken seriously. So it's like I'm joking, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Right. Next, I want to talk about if this inside joke situation is a good thing, and if it's really like helping like the right people get to know us more, or if it's like causing bigger barriers. And returning to that New York Times article, they say psychoanalysts use the term transference to describe how when we know other people, we superimpose onto them the image of other people we know. We might see our spouses through the lens of our parents, for example. So for someone to really know you, they might have to work at seeing you as you and not a version of someone else. Conversely, if we feel that no one really knows us, it's possible we're expressing something about what we've experienced in the past when someone important to us left us feeling unknown. Maybe if we let go of our lingering disappointment, we'd be able to acknowledge being known now. Does anyone really know you might be too narrow or too rigid a question with a passive construction that belies reality. Like Schrodinger's cat, we may not settle into any particular way of being until someone studies us. Other people help us know ourselves, working with us to create a shared idea of who we are. So instead of asking whether we are known, it may be more fruitful to ask whether we've arrived in collaboration with other people we care about at a conception of ourselves that we recognize.
Fiji, wait, I'm going to stop you right there. This shit is fucking eating. And
Right.
I really like that because I think like sometimes like with friends in the past, it's like, yeah, like sometimes like other people really do know you better than you know yourself because you have these like self-protection things where you're like, I didn't really do that though, or whatever. And like, you're like blind
You black
to those,
it
like,
out.
they can see your blind spots and like it's hard to talk about, but then you get scared and you're like, well, are they right though? Like, how do I know they're right? Like, how do I put like everything they say is correct and completely? And then I'm like, well, I don't really know. Like, shouldn't I know better than they do? But I do think sometimes other people do like can see you better sometimes and have something to like offer you.
Yes.
And thank God, bitch, because if it was all on us, like that's a lot. Like sometimes like, and that's why like we've talked about like a lot of our conversations, like I come out feeling like okay, like relieved. And it's really rare because I'm always like when someone's like giving me advice or like trying to tell me in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but like really though?
You're wrong.
Like,
you're not
should
right.
I believe this? Like, and I'm like, I get anxious about that. But like, so it's like when knowing what to take. But I think like if someone's trying to tell you something about who you are, something you need to work on or something that's like really beautiful, like I think it'll feel right when they tell you, like even if it's like hard to believe or something, like when you tell me like my confidence, blah, 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 like I'm just at such a different point now that I'm like, I don't know, like that was Jackie though. Like that was somebody else. Like I used to go by Jackie before I went by Autumn, guys. Don't ask. I don't know. It just clicked. Like, okay. And like, I genuinely like, but that was someone else. Like you see that and that was a real experience for you. But like, I feel like I was, so I don't know.
Well, and it's like the Schrodinger's cat or whatever, because it's like you can, like Autumn can sit here and be like meta-ironic or like whatever all she wants, but like I being someone that knows you or is attempting to know you, I can be like, well, let me ask another question about that, or let me pull back that layer and then force you to like reveal something else so that I know you better and maybe you know yourself better. And you can only really do that in real community, like with people that like actually care about
just
you.
Like the article said, like people that actually know you, like it's clear as day to see through the meta irony, or you're like, whoa, like what did you really, you don't mean that. Like,
did you really mean that?
You know.
Or
but
it takes you longer with men, like we talked about, but
oh my God. Right. And the problem is like with Ethel Cain, it's like she like wants to be heard so bad and like no one knows because they don't really know her. And all they know how to do is like take the art and make it what it is because everyone's memifying everything right now. Yeah. Like everything is a meme and I've never really thought that was a problem until now.
Yeah. I also want to say I really liked the part of the article where it was talking about how we superimpose images of other people and our past experiences onto like someone else. And I feel like that is what's going on a lot online. And like I talked about what Trump supporters are thinking about Kamala Harris, like memes and everything like that, or like what someone who's misogynistic could think about like you posting something meta-ironic or like ironic. You know, because it's like, and I think we have to check ourselves in that sometimes too, because like I feel like I've definitely seen memes or TikToks where I thought it was meta-ironic, but it was like they were being sincere. You know what I'm saying? So I'm superimposing like my own image of things onto that. So it's just so trippy when you think about all the different layers.
Yeah, and it's crazy too when like you see some misogynistic content that it's like very obvious that they're being for real and it's definitely not meta irony, but you're like, damn, this would be so funny like if you were being ironic about it, but you're not. So
Right.
scroll.
Because there
Yeah.
is a lot of misogynistic content that is very sincere, but like we are like, you cannot be serious.
And we don't want to like give that content like our likes because we're confused if it's irony or not. And then it's really, it's not. Just like when you like follow an influencer because you like their recipes and then like election day happens and they voted for Trump and you're like, fuck, I really don't know you at all.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, and the last part of the article says, the philosopher Stanley Cavell describes it beautifully in an essay about Frank Capra's movie It Happened One Night. In the movie, an heiress named Ellie has fallen in love with Peter, a reporter, but hasn't told him yet. She asks him if he's ever fallen in love. Haven't you ever thought about it at all? Seems to me you could make some girl wonderfully happy. He's dreamed about meeting the right kind of girl, he says, and imagine taking her away to a beautiful tropical island. But where are you going to find her? Somebody that's real, somebody that's alive. She's right there in front of him, of course. Why can he not allow the woman of his dreams to enter his dream? Cavell asks. The answer, he thinks, is that to walk in the direction of one's dream is necessarily to risk the dream. If Peter and Ellie are to really know one another, they have to merge dreams and reality. This is like putting together night and day, and it's scary. So this is kind of just like the idea that like to risk being sincere or like being vulnerable, like you have to risk like being like let down in the same sense too. Like I have to risk him, and in my last relationship, like, oh shit, this guy that I'm fucking might be a misogynistic asshole. Like, if I say, wait, like, let's pause on that joke. Like, what did you really, like, mean by that?
Yeah, that's terrifying because deep down you kind of, if it is what you think it is, which is really bad, and that it was serious.
Yeah.
It's like, is it over now? Like, what do we do?
Like, what do we do? And I feel like
I know.
that's such a niche. I want to think that that's like, I'm like, bitch, are we serious? Like, how do you, like, fall in love with a man, like, thinking he's ironically misogynistic when he's actually misogynistic?
No,
but,
I
like,
think
you did it too.
Yeah,
so
I
I'm
think
like,
for straight relationships, it's like, yeah, but like, let's be honest. Like, I was with a woman with questionable values too.
yeah.
Like,
because, like,
let's
why?
be honest.
I thought it was ironic. Like, I'm confused. But
it's not even like it's part that, and then it's also part that
like coping mechanism.
Yeah, but it's also that thing about like what's that thing your therapist said about like you're like that's classism if I don't like love him because he's poor. It's like we want to like fix people to a degree and like be overly compassionate and like meet them where they are when really it's like we have to work to understand like what does that say about us and like what we think our values are this, but it's not aligning in these relationships.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, the relationships where it's like that, it was toxicity. Like, it wasn't
and then
actually
what
our
are
person.
Your, like, I remember fucking doing that. And when I was in treatment, I remember we had this whole thing where we had to do our core fucking values. And it's like, you think you know your core values, and then you try to write your core values down on paper. And then you try to think about if your relationships line up with your core values. And I'm like, I have maybe 2 relationships in my life, like you being one of them, that aligns with my core values. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm just moving through life, like, and nothing's that serious. So like,
no, literally,
you know,
the way that I was asked yesterday, like, what are like non-negotiables? Like, what are things you're really looking for in your partner? And the way that I was floored and almost passed out because, bitch, I don't know.
Right.
Like, and I do know. I just need like 30 minutes to like really think about it. But the way we should have that on lock, prepared, like a full written monologue, like not knowing that is crazy and embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, we need to know immediately. And that's why, like, literally my first girlfriend, and that's why I loved her so much, is because our values were the same.
Yeah.
Every relationship after that was compromise after compromise, understanding after understanding.
Yeah.
Let's work there together, blah, blah, blah. Like, no. Like, I want to meet someone where I am. We just have those values. And you know what? Like, you fall in love with someone, you realize later you don't have the same values. Like, yeah, that sucks. But, like, grow up. Like, you shouldn't be with them.
And
like,
I'm talking
to
your
myself.
values. Yes,
right,
say
because
them.
you fucking matter. Like, it just makes me think, like, wow, I really, like, don't care about myself. Like, I'm so like living for other people, and I'm so tired of that. And I don't think we're gonna find the loves of our lives until we're truly just living for ourselves. Like, it's okay to hurt yourself because this person actually isn't right for you.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks. And I'm so afraid of like putting myself through heartbreak that I'll deal with fucking anything because I'm like, well, this is better than like being heartbroken.
But then you're just delaying it. You're just delaying
it, and it's worse, and the relationship's not even good. Like, bitch, you just need to be by yourself. And it's just like, oh my God, you know?
Yes. All right. So the last thing that I'm going to end us with before we wrap up with what we're wet, dry, and still confused about the topic is this article called Gen Z Humor, Meta-Irony, Absurdism, and Nihilism. And it talks about the absurdity and the nihilism that is also taking place in Gen Z humor and a little bit about why we can't take anything seriously. And the article was really good, but one quote that I took from it, it says, "In a world that never seems to escape the tormenting push-pull relationship of causing harm and suffering from its consequences, our trust in society continues to lessen. We thus challenge the strict institutions that repeatedly fail us to reject them as absolutes and recognize their absurdity." So it's like in these levels of being like ironic / sincere / absurd / nihilistic, we are recognizing like how bullshit everything around us is and how much it doesn't even matter if we were sincere or not. We can't really like change anything because like we still have to like work these jobs and not really make a livable wage to pay for your rent, and we live under Trump's administration, and look how fucking stupid and absurd he is and all of that stuff. So it's all like led to this humor where it's like I've seen so many clips of like Donald Trump's literal speeches, and it's like this has to be like, it's almost like it's so absurd, it has to be like Gen Z humor, but this is serious. It's not, it's serious. So it's like, what happens when the serious becomes absurd and the absurd becomes serious? Like, I don't know.
Babe, that's the title of this
right.
No, like, because we always talk about like writing articles or like writing mini essays about like our episode topics, and that is so real. And it just reminds me of like all the time, it's like we blame the generations, you did this wrong, but everything is just a product of like what's going on. Like, it's like nobody came up with meta irony, really. Like, it just happened based on like the state of the world, you know? That's how everything is. And it's like exactly what you just said. It's like the question to ask is like, what do we do with this information? Like, how do we move forward in that way? So
yeah. So let's wrap us up and talk about what we're wet, dry, and still confused about the topic. You want to go first?
Go first? No, you.
All right, I'll go first. I'm so wet, honestly, about learning about meta-irony and postmodern irony, all of the layers of irony, because I think that I've been using it without, like, realizing it.
Exactly.
You know? So it's, like, it's cool to put a name to it, and just like you said, like, realizing that this is, like, layers of art and, like, interpretation and literature and, like, breaking things down. I think that we should give ourselves a lot more credit, because so much of Gen Z or the people that are dissecting us are just like, we don't understand anything, we don't take anything seriously, blah blah blah. But in reality, we're just getting things at deeper levels than you guys do.
And we're just doing it differently. Yeah, like we're not being as direct. Okay.
We're more creative. Like, we're the age of the Aquarius, aren't we? Like, the creativity.
I think so. That sounds right.
I think we are. So yeah, I'm wet about the humor overall. I love a meme that's like, you don't know if I'm being serious or not. I mean, we use them all the time on our fucking So What So Dry Instagram. Follow us, guys, at So What So Dry, the O's are zeros. And I'm also wet about that New York Times article and just, like, the whole concept of, like, people knowing you and not really knowing you, and that Anna Karina book that I'm, like, really excited to read. I'm going to read it on the plane tomorrow because your bitches are going to be in New York filming more content.
Seamless, bitch.
Seamless plug. Be ready for the vlog. Follow us on TikTok again at So What So Dry, the O's are zeros. We will be posting skits, maybe some of them meta-ironic. I don't fucking know.
Absolutely. Damn near all of them. Yes.
Yeah, but I also am wet about the ways in my life that I feel like I've become better at, like, embodying who the fuck I am and like being serious about it. Like even if I'm doing it in a meta-ironic way where I'm not being serious and I'm being serious, like sometimes there'll be things I post on TikTok that are meta-ironic, sincere, not sincere, that I'm afraid to post on my Instagram because I'm afraid of them seeing like that side of me. But I'm like, bitch, we need to like get over that. Like we need to like show up more as like who I fully am. And I don't give a fuck online. Like people can hate whatever. Like it's fine.
And
it's
when it comes
fine.
to platforms, it's like TikTok is a safer space to do that.
Right. Because you don't know these people. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Instagram's like your fucking middle school crush is following you. Like what's going on?
And if I say I'm a slut, it's like, because I probably fucked your 6 homeboys. Like, you know what I'm saying? like, oops, it's a little deeper. It's a little more
But why
personal.
does it like turn me on? Like, anyways. Okay. So I would say I'm wet, like just overall about like the concept of like being known is like something I'm like really interested in right now, because I finally feel like I'm getting to that point where it's like I'm accepting myself and like all of the potential damage that I've caused, and like I feel
potential damage to who?
Like to myself, like in the decisions I've made and shit, you know?
I'm like, to who? Like this sounds like an influencer apology.
And I'm wet. No, oh my God. I'm wet about like, even like just going back to the beginning, like having like my friends be the people that know me the most. It's like, I do think that like, it's like, I don't have a partner right now. Right. And it's like, and it's like, that's something that I think about all the time too. It's like when you have a partner, it's like, and then you have a best friend that's like you, it's like, where do you like rank that? And I know it's like different, but like part of me feels like the relationship I have with you, it's like, it's so good because we aren't like in love with each other and we don't fuck, you know? Like, because sometimes it's like you stay in relationships. Because we don't take it personal. Yeah. And you stay in relationships for that reason. Like, oh, the sex is really good and like whatever. But it's like, lust. We don't give each other that, you know? So why are we still here? Because it's real, bitch. So, and I just feel wet about feeling like I am known, because I think it's really scary. Aww. Like, if you guys agree, let me know. But like, if people don't really know you, that's terrifying. Like, what's the point to living, bro? Like, I genuinely am like, there's 0 point. Like, you have to.
Well, that's not very encouraging for a listener that may be listening and may feel like no one knows them.
Okay, yeah. No, I get it. Okay, yeah. So I'll be like, I've felt like that before, but it motivates me because, right, it's like I'm someone that wants community, and having community with people, they only know one side of you. I have a lot of friends that really don't know me for real. Though. Like, I don't know who they think they're hanging out with, but like but I'm like really the duality. And I think as humans, we naturally sometimes, like, depending on who you're with, you emphasize certain parts of yourselves. And I think that's okay. But like, if you're someone that feels like nobody knows you for real, like, I think that's a hard place to be in. I really do. And I think like.
And I was going to say, I feel like that's like just side note why so many people identified with the Brat album to a point too, because she's being very meta-ironic in a lot of her lyrics where she's like, I'm like partying, I'm doing cocaine, I might want to have a baby, I don't really know what I'm doing with my life, but it's fine, I'm jealous of this girl, I'm insecure. And like we can all relate to that, where you're like in this party culture, you're in this like community of people that don't really know you, but like do know you, and like, like
that mysterious girl shit for real. That is what it is for me too. But yeah, the last thing I'll say, I'm wet about thinking about memes in a different way. And like you said, like looking at content online like it is art. I don't think all of it is, like, of course, like especially like red pill culture and all of their platforms. It's like that. No, like, you know what I mean? But I think like a lot of people like doing semi-normal things or like awkwardly showcasing their talent. Like, there's a lot of art that we're around all the time. It just looks differently, and people make fun of it because it's new. It's new territory that we've never been in before. It's so easy to like show, like, to give the opportunity to show someone who you are, and like millions of people could see it. Like, you never know what's going to go viral. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, so I'm wet about looking at memes and like memification, like in a different way and like more intellectual, because memes get such a bad rep of just being stupid and funny, oh, whatever. But especially the way our girl Fiji does it, like for the podcast, like nothing's like stupid about it. Like it's funny, but it's also serious. Babe, just take the compliment,
okay,
bro.
thank you,
The
babe.
memes are really good. And like I feel that way too because I don't think I could make a meme. Like it is like a very like it's a lane bitch and it like when it hits hard it really hits. So yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Okay, thank you, babe. I'm dry, I think, about the gray area in between the sincerity and the irony where you don't know and how you can be misinterpreted. And I think same with the relationships, like we talk about, like the misogynistic example, like dry as fuck about that. And another thing that I didn't really bring up in this episode was there was a lot of talk about meta-irony and neurodivergence and how some neurodivergent people don't always grasp the layers of like meta-irony because they don't pick up on certain social cues and stuff like that. So that can be like harmful to certain communities. Also, the other thing I was thinking about that I didn't really talk about in this episode too was just being bipolar in the ways that I feel like that plays into meta-irony because I'm not always taking myself seriously. Like one version of myself that's being manic does not identify with the one that's being depressed. So it's like maybe I'm being sincere, but I'm also being funny because I don't take that version of myself seriously because that was me yesterday in a completely different mindset that it is me today.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people feel that because we're constantly code switching between different environments that we're in or we're mentally ill.
Yeah.
And we're all nihilistic and hopeless about the whole world.
Yeah. It's one thing to be like ironic on the internet and then be like ironic with yourself internally, like, oh, that didn't matter. It's like what my mom always says about the magical thinking. Like I'm always acting like shit that happened like didn't really happen. And I'm like, oh, like where am I? Like, you know, and it's
not
like
real.
Oh, like we need to be grounded. Like I'm a Taurus, but sometimes I feel like I'm airy in the air.
Yes.
I'm like in the clouds. Like it's weird. So it can be scarier when you're like practicing that within ourselves. It's just like how shit goes on online. Does it imitate real life and how you actually act? And like, how do you interact with that?
Especially if you're like if you're conscious of that and then making a joke about it, then that shows the ways that you can use meta-irony correctly. But the last thing I'm dry about is the whole Kamala Harris thing and like our ability to take serious things like really seriously and even like Liam Payne's death. And some of the Diddy stuff, like we're joking because we have this like absurdity, like lack of hope, like nihilism about what's going on in the world. But is it preventing us from actually like gathering as a community and doing like political, social change through our intimate relationships and like broader community? So like that part I think is dry as fuck as well.
And I think it goes hand in hand with, I forget which episode it was, but when there was like a man who commits suicide or no, a girlfriend murdered her boyfriend for doing something and it went on TikTok and the comments were like, oh, she killed him. Like they were like, good. Like that's all she did.
Yes.
Or she stabbed him 7 times and they were like only 7 and like all of that. It's like, okay, wow. Like, you know what I mean? Like
we're joking, but that's deep. Like you're actually joking about like intimate partner violence and stuff
and like
that.
Domestic violence. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'll definitely second that as my dry. I feel like the Ethel cain stuff, I feel like is just a perfect example of like the downside of this whole thing because like at the end of the day, we say like TikTok content is art and all this and like art is like something not to be taken lightly. Like art is like really serious, especially for an artist where that's their whole life and that's what they do. And like just as we are frustrated with being misunderstood with our romantic partners, like I want you to see me so bad. I'm trying to show you and I'm scared to tell you these things. It's like Ethel Cain feels that way like with her audience and like this is the whole reason she's big is because she has an audience and that's why she's able to do what she does. But she's thinking like, well, what does it even matter if no one's really getting my art? Like, this is what I'm trying to say, but nobody's getting it because we're in these like ironic times. Like, what really is my purpose? Like, what am I doing then? Because the whole point of art, and it is arguable, but I do believe like at the root, it is for the audience and like what they take away from it. I feel like that goes across genres of all different type of art. It's like it's up for interpretation and like all those things, but at the end of the day, as art gets more political and it's about your identity, like it hurts when taken the wrong way, especially it sounds like it's not just a few people, it's like everyone is taking your art the wrong way, and that's like really hurtful. And so because like I'm a fan of meta irony, like I've learned through all the things, like I like it and like I'm wet about it, but the dry end of it is like really bad because like we're lacking community, like we need real conversations, we're unable to have them. And I think like earlier generations more so will suffer with that because we didn't grow up with meta irony in the same way as like zillennials, because I do relate to the like cringy, quote unquote, like cringe culture goes hand in hand with this, like you know, like and the ableism that comes with that, and like it goes so a lot. This episode is really like a combination of a lot that we've done in the past, and I feel like that's why we're both also so like locked in right now, because we feel like we have past knowledge that like like you know,
like is this
But yeah, that's honestly the driest thing about it. And of course, the Kamala Harris shit. I mean, I was gagged. Like, I was actually gagged. So.
Yeah. I guess I'm still confused about, like, when is the right time to use meta-irony. Like, obviously, like, we're all on the internet, like, creating memes, creating art, like, da-da-da. Like, we can't help who our audience is sometimes, like, especially on TikTok, people are going to come across it. And, like, what subject matter is, like, too fucked up? Like, what are the lines? Because, like, so much of, like, the joke is the fact that we don't know if you're being sincere or genuine. So it like that TikTok of that guy. It's like, is it gonna get like super fucked at some point? Like, when does it fucking stop? Yeah. And I think I'm also confused about the conversation about like, what should you tell your partner and what should you not? Because like things with friends, things with like family, coworkers, like there's like, you know, like I feel like with your best friend, you should really be able to tell them like pretty much like type anything. And then like family, there's different codes, there's coworkers, there's different codes. But like your partner, I feel like so much of like this podcast is like unlearning a lot of like the patriarchy and like the general like ideas of like how we should be in relationships and how we should see certain people based off their gender, based off of their like sexuality, like all of that type of stuff. And so like when it comes to an intimate partner relationship, I think you have to like build that yourself. Like, what are your boundaries? Like, how do you get to know someone? But like in this day and age where like everything is so serious but such a joke, like it just makes it really hard to get to know someone. And I think that's like super confusing.
Right. I totally agree with that. I think it's really confusing. And I think like, again, like if the social media like meta irony is echoing like real life, like is that a problem? Like if you're having like a sincere conversation with your partner, like sometimes it's easy to kind of like make a joke in there or something. Like I do that a lot. Like I just try to be funny, quirky, like yeah, but like you didn't really hear what I said, right? And it's like cute and endearing, but to a point, because eventually you need to be like for real,
bro. And like that's how I like when I go out and I'm like flirting with someone, like I'm being like meta ironic. Like I'm
know,
this
like I'm not even being for real because like, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
And it's like less vulnerable and like at the same time, like I just feel like I'm always doing like cute awkward shit to like cover up like how I really feel. And I do think it can be endearing, but to a point, because I think like we need to learn how to have the sincerity Ethel Cain's talking about and shit like that. I feel like I just wish people understood more that it's not Gen Z's fault for the meta irony. And I think like the tabloids and like the press has a lot to do with that, because they always make it like Gen Z and like we even title our episodes that way sometimes because like it is clickbaity, but at the end of the day, like I can't tell myself enough, like it really is just like a product of the things we're living in. And you're how you brought up Donald Trump and how he does absurd things, and it's real and it's scary, but like some people, like his followers, might think like, oh, he's joking sincere to a point. Yeah.
Well, some of them are like, this is legit, this is
or they're
fire.
Serious and that's what they want. I know, but it's like, it's confusing and it's crazy, and when you compare it to that, it's like it just makes so much sense. It's like we literally are living in a meme, and that's terrifying. But also, like, the other sides of it that I'm like, well, it's kind of cool, though. Like, we're, like, main characters, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess, like, similar to that guy talking about it, like, where is the line? Like, where do we go from here? Like, is it going to be bad? Like, I don't know. Because I feel like I'm, like, majority, like, leaning for it. Like, I do really like it. But I think it gets bad when it bleeds into our interpersonal relationships and we can't tell if someone's being sincere or not. And like, so yeah, that's just the biggest confusing part, which always is like, where do we go from here? Like we do all this research, we learn about this, and it's like, what do we do? Well, we kind of just keep it in mind. Like part of me feels like it's going to fade out and look like something else. Like, we're literally going in like to the conservative Handmaid's Tale direction. I'm like, of course people are coping with humor. No one knows what the fuck to do, like who to trust. Like, it's, so it's, I just think it's like a product of the times, and the concern shouldn't be that Gen Z doesn't take anything seriously. It should be like the state of the world is so bad, people are like giving up and don't know what to do.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Right.
But that about does it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow on Spotify and or Apple. Also, you can rate us on Spotify or Apple, which would mean so much to us. Rate us 5 stars, leave a little review, whatever you thought, and please keep the conversation going in the comments below or in our DMs on Instagram. As Fiji said, at So Wet So Dry, the O's are zeros. We post polls for episodes, upcoming episodes, and also we are going to be doing a lot of TikToks and skits in New York on our trip. So definitely now is the time, because it's going to pop off, okay? Right now. So you guys should follow us Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, you can also always email us. We did have a listener submit something they wanted us to talk about, and it was a great episode. So please, any topic suggestions, email us, sowetsodry, the O's are zeros @gmail.com, or DM us on anything.
Yes, we also have listener support. It's $9.99, $4.99, or 99 cents a month. It is in the bottom of the description of every single episode, no matter what platform you guys are listening on. And we love you guys so fucking much. We will catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Ballroom culture was founded by Black and brown LGBTQ plus people in New York City in the 1960s. They needed a place to be free, to be without the cruel obstacles of society. During a ball, participants walk different categories representing their houses for trophies, prizes, and glory. Houses are led by house mothers or fathers, whose house is a chosen family for their children. Most recently, ballroom went from subculture to mainstream with shows like Pose and Legendary.